Nadir Shah Afshar came as a proverbial deluge and caused incalculable harm to the tottering Mughal Empire, which did not recover from the vicious invasion. Renowned as the one of the last ambitious conquerors in the day of unbridled conquest, Nadir Shah followed in the footsteps of other conquerors, spreading death and destruction wherever he passed through. His life story follows a tragic curve from obscure beginning to ruthless intrigue, military success, splendor, and riches, to error, terror, frustration, ferocious cruelty, mental derangement, and death. Nadir Shah started off in the beginning of the 18th century as an obscure warlord of humble origins but came to prominence when he liberated Persia from Afghani occupation, ejected the Ottoman Turks, and defeated them. He mounted the imperial throne on his own initiative and campaigned against Afghanistan in return. His marauding continued and he soon held sway in Central Asia. By the mid of the 18th century, he commanded a ferocious and well-equipped army, and the training he imparted to his officers produced leaders who later went on to establish independent state in Afghanistan and Georgia. In 1739, he was at the prime of his life and seemed set fair to equal, if not surpass, the achievement of Timur, who had ridden into Delhi as a conqueror 340 years earlier. Although many of his innovations pointed to the future rather than harking backward, Nadir's thoughts often turned on Timur's example. Like Timur, he had already decided to plunder the wealth of Delhi rather than attempt to annex the empire of India. Delhi became the crowning glory of his career when he led the Persian army into Delhi in March 1739, accompanied by 20,000 horsemen and 100 captured elephants, each bearing several veteran musketeers. As Nadir arrived at the place of the Mughal Emperor, Muhammad Shah received him with an elaborate ceremony and pressed expensive presents on him. After his defeat at the Battle of Karnal on 24th February and the scattering of the Imperial Mughal army that followed, Muhammad Shah had no choice but to go back to the city with an escort of Persian cavalry to welcome the conqueror with pomp and show. They met in the elegant hall of special audience constructed by Shah Jahan. The columns, walls, and ceilings inside were covered with richly decorated gold and silver leaf, with the Persians later stripped away and melted down. The building's centerpiece was the extravagant peacock throne. The huge Kohinoor diamond was mounted at the front of the throne, surrounded by rubies and emeralds. Nadir confirmed Muhammad Shah on the throne, and in return Muhammad Shah offered Nadir all the imperial treasures, comprising all the enormous wealth accumulated over 2 centuries of Mughal rule. Nadir and his personal staff took over Shah Jahan's own apartments in the fortress, and Muhammad Shah moved into the women's quarters. Another significant incident marked the occasion, and that happened due to intrigues at the Mughal court led by Sadat Khan, the governor of Awadh, and the emperor's other senior nobles, including the Nizam al-Mulk, the viceroy of the Deccan. The infighting at the imperial court had fatally weakened the Mughal state prior to the Persian invasion. Sadat Khan's rashness had led directly to the distress Mughal defeat at the Battle of Karnal and his own capture. Since his capture, he had tried to win Nadir's favor by acting his advisor, blatantly abandoning his allegiance to Muhammad Shah. He was appointed to collect the tribute that was to be taken from the citizens of Delhi, and rode with Nadir into the city. At the palace, Sadat Khan asked for a private audience, but Nadir, showing contempt for his ingratiating behavior, replied harshly and demanding why he had not begun collecting the tribute. Sadat Khan could not take his rebuke, and the loss of his honor broke his spirit so bad that he took poison and died. In actual fact, only a small proportion of the Mughal army was defeated at Karnal, and Nadir's dominant position in Delhi was achieved by as much as his cunning manipulation of Muhammad Shah and the Mughal great nobles, and by implied threat, as by the direct use of force. The remains of the Mughal army had melted away, and the Mughal leaders were slowly maneuvered into giving Nadir what he wanted. His task was made easier by the common Turkoman Persian culture that the Mughals and the invaders shared. To emphasize their common origin, Nader insists that he and Muhammad Shah should speak together in the Turkish language. Very soon it became common knowledge that the city and everybody in it were going to have to pay a large tribute. Many of their ordinary soldiers had come from Delhi and others from the defeated army had found refuge there. Most of the population was fearful and passive, but some were angry and felt betrayed by their leaders. There were young men in the bazaar who were up for trouble of any kind. They collected together in bands ready for exploitation by a few rash nobles who thought instability could save their fortunes or who were simply out for revenge. Soon rumors began to circulate that Nader had been shot or that he had been poisoned or imprisoned. These rumors started trouble in many areas of the city, and an angry mob killed the Persian soldier, then fanned out through parts of the city, attacking all the Persian they found and killing them. Nader initially did not believe what he was told, but when he got to know the real situation, he mounted his horse and rode from the palace to the Roshan-ud-Dawla mosque, went to its roof looking out over the houses and shops of the city. He ordered that no one should be left alive in any part where any of his soldiers had been killed, and then drew his sword as a signal that massacre should begin. The killings began at 9 am as the sun reached its zenith. It continued as heaps of bodies piled up in the street and the gutters ran with bloods. Finally, Muhammad Shah sent the Nizam al-Mulk to plead for the killing to stop, and it finally did at 3 pm. It is likely that the contemporary estimate that 20 to 30,000 had died was reasonably accurate. The number of Persians killed in the initial rating is also uncertain, but it may have been as low as a few hundred. In Nader's terms, the savage work was a success. There was no further trouble from the citizens of Delhi. Nader now set about the main business of his stay in Delhi, collecting the spoils of war on the strength of the amount collected so far. And in expectation of what was to come, Nader sent a decree to be proclaimed in Persia that all his dominions were exempted from taxes for 3 years and settled his soldiers' arrears, paid them a year in advance, and gave them a bounty worth 6 months' pay in addition. The Mughal Empire was devastated as its economy collapsed. Trade came to a standstill, prices for foodstuffs were at famine levels, and the value of other goods drastically reduced. Politically, it was a death knell for the Mughal Empire, and it was not very long when Marathas started invading Delhi, which they finally took over in 1771. If you really loved the video, then like, share and subscribe to our YouTube channel.